5% tint with 20 on the windshield. Is it awesome? Yeah. Is it legal? Well, hello. It's been a while since I've done a tint video, but you know, summer's right around the corner and it's like 85 degrees today and super sunny. And lately I've been seeing a lot of comments on my previous tint videos about asking questions and whatnot. So I figured, you know what? I've had plenty of tint setups and I have yet to review this one. For those of you who are new, my name is Kyle. I have a 2018 WRX that used. Oh, okay. The camera's gonna be wobbly. Let me pull up somewhere a little bit more calm. Look at this. Why is it wobbly? Why is it so wobbly? Okay, let me make this introduction quick. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Kyle. This is my 2018 WRX, and I have had many tint setups. You know, people always ask me, yo, what tints are you running? What's your setup? Because I guess they like how my car looks. I love how my car looks with tints. Tints are very illegal, but I would say that if you can get them, and if you know, you're good with talking to cops, or you have a PBA card, or you have a tint exemption, I think that they are highly worth it. They change the look of the car. They add a lot of privacy. This video is going to be special because I'm not just reviewing this tint setup. I'm reviewing all of my tint setups. I feel like I'm at that point now where I can talk pretty confidently about tint. I think I know a thing or two. If you want some background, I've had 5 total tint setups. I used to work at a tint shop, not doing tint. I was wrapping cars in paint protection film, but I was close enough to understand and see the different types of tint, the different percentages, the different levels of it, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna go through everything and try to answer all of your questions, so hopefully this is the last tint video you will have to watch. Let's start with my current tint setup. Right now, I am rocking XPEL XR Nano Ceramic Heat Rejection Film. 5% all around with 20 on the windshield. And I love it. It's not my favorite tint setup, I would say, but I think it offers the best balance of everything so far. And let me explain. I am a videographer, photographer, in-car crier, so privacy is a big deal. The 5% tint gives you that. It gives you, I think it gives you the most privacy without having to stack tint or without having to go mirror tint. I went with XPEL XR because it is the highest quality film that XPEL made at the time. Don't quote me on this because I don't know when you're watching this, but at the time, when I got my tints, XPEL XR Nano Ceramic Tint was the top of the line tint that XPEL carried. It was the best I could get at the time, and you know, it's good. It's good stuff. Little background on XPEL XR, it's heat rejection ceramic film, so it doesn't fade. It does a great job of reducing the UV levels that come through the window, so you know, on a hot sunny day, when you're driving, you don't really feel the heat as much as you would if you had no tint, or if you had tint that didn't have ceramic, nano ceramic technology, magic, whatever. You know, all I'm saying is it is a noticeable difference. It is a noticeable difference between the XR ceramic tint and, you know, the generic tint that is just meant to black out your windows. That being said, however, if you get limo tint, like 5% and below, the difference becomes negligible because your windows are so dark that not a lot of heat and light is going to get through regardless. So I'm going to just leave it at that. Because I know a lot of shops will offer base film for $100 to $300, and then there's the extremely high quality film, which is anywhere from like $500 to $1,000 depending on your car, depending on how many windows, depending on all that stuff. So just keep that in mind. If you know you have a skin condition, or you know UV bothers you, or the heat from the window, from the light bothers you, then I could recommend going with that higher quality film. But if you just want the blacked out look and you don't want it to fade, most tints these days, most reputable tints these days are color stable, often have some form of carbon in them, and they will do the job of blacking out your windows and stopping, in my opinion, more than enough heat, because the differences become pretty small as you increase in quality. There's a saying about it, it's called diminishing return. When you get to such a high quality, the smaller adjustments cost more money because there's not much more, you know, room for improvement. So yeah, quick tour of the car. These are my windows. That's the windshield. The end. 5% all around is great. I wish I went with it first. It provides me the most privacy, you know, without having to stack film. I know people can stack film. I know some people offer 2% film, which is like limo tint. But this is the darkest film that the shop carried without having to stack. 5% XPEL tint. And with the addition of the 20% on the windshield, it pretty much blacks out the car from, I would say, 90% of the angles and 90% of all the lighting conditions. Why do I say 90%? Well, because there are some angles, you know, there are some times of day where you'll look at the, you know, the front windshield at a certain angle and you'll see through the car because there's just that much light going through. It happens. The only time that hasn't happened was when I had mirror tint, and we'll get into that as well. But if you're looking for just a do it once and you want your privacy and you don't really care about being pulled over, I would go with this setup. I would go 5% all around with either 20 to 35 on the windshield. Let's do a quick walk around. Make sure I don't lock myself out. Oh my god, it's so bright. You see how much brighter it is? So here we see 5%. As you can see, it's like a mirror. You can see me. Hi. But you can't really see into the car. Same with the back. Can't really see through the car. But if I reduce in person, you can see from the back windshield all the way through to the front. But like in a dark way, you know, you can't really tell what's in the car, but you can see all the way through. The camera doesn't really capture it, but maybe you can see, I don't know, maybe you can see like the reflection of my carbon fiber wheel. You can see shiny things inside the car. But as you can see with this setup, it's blacked out. You can still see the registration and all that. You can still see the easy pass. But if I'm driving this car and I'm just chilling, you won't be able to see me. Especially if I'm driving and if I'm moving, you know? Alright. So, how does it look from the inside? I'm going to try to approximate. I'm going to try to set the camera so you guys see pretty much what I see. As you can tell, I'm messing around with the lighting because I'm trying to make it accurate to what my human eyes see, because it's not always accurate to the camera. Yeah, that's good. This is pretty much what I see on the inside. As you can see, the windshield, it's like there's nothing there. I can read the license plate of the Maserati in front of me. I can read that guy's license plate. You know, it's noticeably darker on the sides because this is 5% and this is 20%. But on the inside, it's really not all that bad. It's manageable during the day. We're having a nice, clear 77-degree day, and it's fine. I have no problem seeing right now. I can confidently go anywhere and see everything. I'm not gonna hit any curbs. Nothing. I will let you guys know that at night, some people can find this sketchy. I know at night when I'm backing up and I'm trying to use my side mirrors, I have to roll down my windows. Out the front, it's fine. I don't really have trouble driving. The only time I got kind of sketched out was when we were driving in Long Island and there were no lights and the road was kind of twisty and it was drizzling. That's when I got very sketched out. I'll be honest with you. This tint is a level of darkness where at night, you know, if there are no other light sources, if there's no ambient light, it can get kind of sketchy. In the rain at night, it is sketchy. I'll let you know that right now. I was driving home from the Bronx. It started raining. I had to stop on the highway because I could no longer see the lines on the highway. It is what it is. Granted, it was raining very hard, but, you know, I chose the tint, and I have to be honest with you guys when situations like this happens because, you know, it can get dangerous. But really only in those specific conditions where it's nighttime and raining do I feel sketched out at times with this tint setup. Other than that, I mean, I've had this tint set up for, I think, a year now, and it hasn't given me any problems. I've liked it a lot, and, you know, it's got good privacy. It's sleek. The tint is color stable, so I don't have to worry about it fading. 5% all around, 20 on the windshield. Solid choice for privacy, looks. You know, the only downside really is cops will see you and you will likely get pulled over. And like I mentioned, I'm a photographer, I'm a videographer. I sometimes carry equipment with me, and it's important to me for my peace of mind and also for the safety of my car, my equipment, and me, that if I do have that stuff, whenever I do have it, it's protected in here. People aren't going to know whether I have it or not. Now, you could make the argument that, hey, you know, they see a nice car. I think it's nice. I think my car's nice.
She is very gorgeous to me!
You could make that argument that if people see it, then you're already drawing attention to yourself because, I don't know, I'm a subtle guy and my car is subtle. But when people see a car like this, they might assume, oh, he might have something in it, so let's just break his windows and see. But more often than not, it's more like if they know that there's something in there. And one of the ways to reduce that chance is for them to not be able to see into the car. And I will be honest, if I walked up to this car right now with 5% all around and 20 on the windshield, and I push my face up on the glass, like that, I'll see into the car. That will happen with 99% of the tint setups that you have. Have I had a tint setup where I could walk up to the car, push my face on the glass, and no one would see in? Yeah, I have. And I will explain that in a second. But this has been 5% all around, 20 on the windshield. No complaints. I love this setup. It's my favorite setup looks-wise and quality-wise. But there is one more setup that beats it in privacy. Think about it as a triangle. You have privacy up here, you have cost, and you have quality. It kind of goes towards two. You can choose two, you can lean towards two, and you'll kind of lose out on one. And with that being said, let's talk about my other tint setups. So my first ever... Who's getting arrested? My first ever tint setup, I got 35% all around except the windshield. And I can tell you that it was like having no tint. You could fully see into the interior. You can see who was in it. You can see their face. You can tell what they were wearing. You can tell if they were crying or not. You can probably tell what they had for breakfast. I don't... Tint doesn't work like that. But you know what I mean. It's like I had no tint. For pictures, cool. It looks, you know, the windows look smokier. But I can still see from one side all the way through to the other side. That lasted me about 4 months, 5 months, if that. And I didn't like it. Didn't have enough privacy. It didn't look dark enough. The car looked stock. You know, tints will change the look of a car, make it look sleeker, make it look more aggressive. The 35% all around with nothing on the windshield pretty much gave me none of that. It didn't look any more aggressive. I didn't have any more privacy than I did before. It didn't block out any more heat. So in my opinion, it was a waste of money. I would not go 35%. Some people might like 35% if they just want the smoked tinted look, but it didn't really help with glare. It didn't help with anything. It just gave me this vehicle is tinted look. Wasn't worth it in my opinion. And then after that, I went to a shop and I had the 35% swapped out for 20%. 20% all around with nothing on the windshield. That was the first time it was noticeably dark from the outside. From the inside, it looks, you know, it looks like kind of like you're wearing shades, but you can still see completely through on the inside. But 20% is really when you get into the privacy side of tint. It was definitely dark. It was dark enough to be noticeably dark. People would be like, that is a tinted car. And it started obscuring features. If you were inside the car with 20%, you become a silhouette. Unless you're wearing like white clothes or brightly colored clothes, or you have a bright interior like white or bright orange. 20% is enough to obscure your features. People will know you're in the car. They could probably tell what hairstyle you have, but they don't know your face, and they don't know, you know, what else you really have in the car with 20% and nothing on the windshield. From there, that wasn't dark enough for me, because though I liked how dark it was, it didn't give me total privacy, and that's something that I really wanted. So I had 20% on the sides, nothing on the windshield, not dark enough, in my opinion. A lot of people like 20%. They'll stop at 20% because it's a good balance between privacy, being a silhouette, being like anonymous, with vision. You can still see fairly easily out of the car at night, in the rain, it doesn't matter. You can still see fairly easily. But again, didn't give me enough privacy, was not what I was looking for. It was closer, but not quite. It was at that point I got my windows redone again to 15%. I was like, you know what? 20% is dark, 15% is a little darker, maybe that's all I need. And I can tell you that 15% and 20% are pretty negligible in terms of difference. They look the same. You could put a 15% car and a 20% car next to each other, and I probably would not be able to tell the difference. And I worked at a tint shop. The difference wasn't massive. It wasn't really all that noticeable. It is a shade that is slightly darker, and it added a little bit more privacy. I remember testing it. This was when I still worked at Modell's, and I had my friend Anthony stand outside the car, and I said, hey, I'm gonna roll my windows up. Let me know if you can see me. Now that I had my 15%, because, you know, I thought it was like an invisibility cape. Rolled the windows up, looked over, and he just nodded, and he was like, yep, I could see you. I said, okay, that sucks. So 15% and 20% with nothing on the windshield. You're getting into the privacy side of things, but they will know you're in the car. People will see your silhouette while you're in the car. If you add something to the windshield with 20%, you pretty much get the blacked out look. People who look hard enough will see you in the car, but while you're rolling, and from, I would say, most angles, if you have 20% with 35, 30, or 20 on the windshield, that's pretty blacked out. It's not 100% privacy. I'd say it's about 80 to 85% privacy. So yes, I had 15%, and that lasted me a good while, but it still wasn't dark enough. I didn't like the idea of being seen while I was in the car, while I'm in traffic. I don't want people to see me cry, and all that good stuff. So I asked one of the guys at the tint shop, Lewis, hey, what can I do to really, you know, get my privacy up? I like the darkness of the 15, but I definitely want to have the blacked out look, which is when he recommended windshield tint. Now, I've always been iffy about getting windshield tint because, you know, how am I supposed to see at night? Is it going to impair my vision a lot? I already have glasses. Is it going to make my car even more of a cop magnet? I was sketchy on it. I was like, I don't know how dark I should go, this, that, and the third. He recommended 35. So I said, you know what? Let's do it. Because I know that I had 35 as my original setup on the side, so I know what it's like looking through 35. It's almost like there's no tint when you're looking through 35. 35% on the windshield changes the game because the windshield is at a much steeper angle than your windows. So 35% on your windshield looks darker from the outside than 35% on the side windows. Does that make sense? And at the time I already had 15s on the side. So I said, you know, let's do 35 on the windshield. We threw 35 on the windshield, and I can tell you that blacked the car out. That was the first time where I was like, yeah, this is the look I want. A blacked out look, sleek. It was awesome. It was awesome. Couldn't really see into the car. You couldn't really see me in the car in, I would say, a decent amount of lighting. Sorry if this video is dragging. I've had many tint setups and a lot of you guys have had a lot of questions, so I'm going to try to answer everything. After I had 15% all around and 35 on the windshield, I figured, let me bite the bullet and let me do a full send for complete privacy. And that was when I got 5% on the sides for the first time. That was 5% all around with XPEL CS Black, which was their second tier. They have a good and a best film. Right now I have the best film. Back then I used the good film. 5% all around, 35 on the windshield with a windshield banner, which that plays a role. And that gave me privacy. People walking by didn't know I was in the car unless I started the car up. From most angles, again, you couldn't tell I was in the car. You didn't know what I had in the car. It was ideal. I really liked that setup. It was wonderful. I would recommend that. If you want to do 5% and you want to do some sort of windshield tint, 5% with 35 on the windshield, you'll be fine. That was the first time I would say that I really felt confident in leaving some stuff in the car, sleeping in the car, crying in the car. It took a little bit to get used to. I remember the first time I had 35% on the windshield, it was right around when Infinity War came out. And I remember seeing the movie at 3 a.m. and I was driving down the road and I said, oh, I forgot to turn my headlights on. So I turned the knob and it turns out my headlights were on the whole time. It just felt like I didn't have them on. That took me quite a bit to get used to, but once I got used to it, it was smooth sailing. Please refer to my other video if you want a more in-depth explanation. I just want you to know, 5% all around, 35 on the windshield. Takes some getting used to, but it's very doable and it's very daily drivable in New York City or anywhere where it's decently bright. What else we got? After the 5% all around, 35 on the windshield, this is when things got a little extreme. And this is when we also achieved my favorite look, privacy-wise. This was when I got mirror tint. Now the mirror tint I got was Omnique Tints. Bellagio Blue was the color specifically. That comes in 15% from them. It's reflective, so it's like a one-way mirror, meaning no one can see into the car, given that the whole car is tinted. Some people leave nothing on the windshield and then you can still see into the car. But with 15% all around the car, people could not see in. It was incredible. And it was lighter than my 5%, so, you know, it was a nice change. I could see more. People couldn't see me. The drawback of mirror tint is that because it's a chrome mirror tint, the inside of your car gets very, very chromy and like mirrory. Is that a word? Mirrory? Reflective. When you have a one-way mirror, there's different laminates, there's different layers of tint and finishes. I don't know the science of it, but one of the layers is a chrome. This is great from a privacy perspective because people cannot see into the car. Doesn't matter the angle, I can be standing in front, behind, to the side, above, it doesn't matter. You won't see into the car. You won't know who's in the car, you won't know what's in the car, none of that. The issue arises when you're sitting on the inside of the car and your entire car turns into a mirror. The entire inside of your car, because of the chrome, because of the mirror or reflective nature of the film, everything reflects. From my window, I remember looking, trying to look out my mirror, and the tint was reflecting my arm, and I couldn't, it just bothered me. It was really bad on the windshield because the windshield is at a steep angle, and that means that the mirror is now at a steep angle, meaning that your dash, your steering wheel, your hand on the steering wheel, anything you have on your dashboard is now reflected onto the windshield, which can get annoying when you're driving. I don't want to see my hand and my steering wheel while I'm trying to look out the windshield, like it's being projected onto the windshield. It wasn't great. To combat that, we did something crazy. No, not crazy, but like we did something. We stacked 35% XPEL film behind the mirror tint. This did two things. This amplified the mirror effect from the outside. So where people couldn't see into the car, now they extra couldn't see into the car. I don't know if that makes sense. People could walk up to the car and push their face up onto the glass like this, and you would not see anything. You would only see your reflection. Being a little creep. That was only achieved with mirror tint and regular tint stacked behind it. The regular tint being stacked behind the mirror tint also cut down on the reflections on the inside a hell of a lot. It helped a ton. I didn't stack anything on the windshield because I don't want to die, so I kind of just had to get used to and deal with the reflectiveness of the windshield. But the side windows, the rear windshield, everything else, we stacked, and it took care of that issue very, very well. Another drawback with mirror tint is that whatever color you get the tint in is what color the interior is now. So you get red tint, everything in the world is now red while you're driving. You get blue, everything is blue. You get silver, I don't know, I haven't tried silver, but they have a handful of colors, and obviously it's like a filter. It'll change the amount of light that gets through. It'll change how you perceive the world. So I remember I had Bellagio blue tint with a layer of black tint stacked behind it, and everything looked gloomy as hell. The only time it didn't look gloomy was out the windshield. But, you know, if I'm just driving and I go look to the side, it's gloomy. And maybe it wasn't gloomy. It was a bright day. It looked gloomy. Let's go back to the benefits. Benefit of having such dark tint, especially mirror tint. Now, this also applies for like 5%, and I think I'd say 20% and below it applies to. But when you're driving on the highway and someone's driving behind you with their high beams on, the darker the tint, the less you care about that stuff. I remember when I had 35%, I was driving home from the Bronx, and there was a truck behind me with his high beams on, and I almost went blind. Even with my windows rolled up. With 5%, with 15%, with the mirror tint, took all of that away. Not all of it. Like, you can still tell that they're using their high beam, but it didn't bother me anymore. That's a huge plus, I would say. Moving along, the downside of mirror tint. I could do a whole video just on this. But I would say the main downside of mirror tint, the main reason I switched from it, was the quality of the tint. Omnique Tints, I love you guys. Great customer service, good product. The technology isn't there right now to make it color stable and reflective and be dyed a certain color. And I started noticing this about 6 months after I had the mirror tint set up. It was starting to fade very, very bad. The original blue was now like a greenish cyan. It wasn't as deep. It was becoming actually more silvery as that blue dye broke down. I know how intense this difference got when I took off my banner. And when we took the banner off, the tint under the banner was this perfect shade of blue, and everything under it was like this greenish silver. And that just comes with the territory of having mirror tint. You know, I mean, as technology gets better, I'm sure that it'll be more color stable. People who get mirror tint, they know what they're getting. They know that they're getting it for the show aspect of it, for the flashiness of it, and you kind of take that as a trade-off. Stacking 15% mirror tint with 35% regular tint amounts to about 2%. We metered it, it was around 2%, so I was rocking 2% on the sides with 15 on the windshield, and I would say that was my favorite privacy-wise. Over time, the blue tint did get kind of old and, you know, it started to fade, but the privacy remained the same. That is what I would say what 100% privacy looks like. It's mirror tint, you can push your face up on the glass, no one's going to see in, but it did have some drawbacks. I like mirror tint, it gave me the best privacy, it was my favorite privacy-wise, but the longevity of it wasn't there. It lasted me a year, but after about 6 months I started noticing the issues. Hey, so I'm editing this video and it's running much longer than I thought it would. There's a lot of information to unpack and I'm trying to answer all the questions that I know I saw and I know that have been asked, but I'm going to end it here because it is running kind of long and I can talk forever about this kind of thing. If you have any further questions, leave it down below in the comments. I try to get to every single one. Sometimes YouTube doesn't notify me when I get a comment, but when I see it, I'll respond to it. With that being said, the 5% all around with 20 on the windshield is my favorite in terms of all around quality, privacy, and all that good stuff. Mirror tint did beat it in privacy, but the quality wasn't there, and I'm not trying to replace my tint every season. I kind of just want to do my tints once and forget about it. 35% and above, not really worth your time or money in my opinion. It's like having no tint, which kind of defeats the purpose of having tint. 20% and below, you're getting into the privacy side of things. But the biggest game changer, I would say, is windshield tint. It is the most illegal, but it does make the biggest difference in terms of privacy, in terms of heat reduction, in terms of light reduction, and all that good stuff. Tint is a mod that's illegal in many states. It's illegal in mine, but I do have the exemption. If you're gonna get window tints, just make sure that you have the exemption, make sure you have the clearance, make sure you're good with talking to cops, make sure you have money in your bank account to fight tint tickets. There's a lot of things you have to worry about, there's a lot of things to consider, but even though it is illegal, there's so many benefits to tint that just I personally experienced, like privacy, like being able to carry equipment, being able to sleep in the car on long road trips, that make it worth it. So you gotta weigh it out. If it's right for you, full send on it. These have been all my tint setups. I hope you find one that you like. With that being said, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe and all that YouTuber stuff. I'm gonna leave you guys with a clip of me pulling into a gas station and almost fainting at the gas prices, not realizing that's probably the lowest the price was going to be for the next, well, until now. So, catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. 5. Oh my lord.
I gotta die, I'm going like the greats. I don't plan it, but I live like it's today. Pop a quarter off a quarter and I'm straight. Problem. She can't stand me, but she came here anyway. Problem. If I gotta die, I'm going like the greats.